The Office is a show that means so much to me. I watched the entire show on Netflix a couple years back and I loved it. The witty humor and the cleverly crafted scenes turn a boring old office into a spectacle to watch. The show got off to a rocky start after almost being canceled during season 1, but thankfully it was given the opportunity to grow into the show that we remember it as today. But how do you remember it? Maybe you remember this.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Or this.
Morning, everyone.
Or possibly this.
That is a $200 plasma screen TV!
The Office has gone through so many changes over the course of its run. I like to look at the show in eras. The early era consists of Season 1, Episode 1 to Season 1, Episode 6. The early era of The Office is odd. The show is an adaptation of the British version of The Office, with the first episode being an almost word-for-word recreation. The other 5 episodes in the season are original to the US version, but take heavy inspiration from the tone and overall feel of the British version. The Office UK is a darker and sadder show than what would become of The Office we know today. The show at this point still is trying to figure out what it wants to be and what it wants to do with its characters. There are some great ideas, but the show is still being held down by the sadder and darker tones of the UK version. This era is how it all began, but it feels weird. The show was almost cancelled after this season, but thankfully it was renewed and given a chance to become what we remember as The Office. The golden era of The Office consists of Season 2, Episode 1 to Season 3, Episode 25. The golden era of The Office is what I consider to be The Office in its prime. The depressing undertones of the first season are gone, and we get a new version of Michael. Michael is more innocent and carefree in the golden era, and gives off a happy, optimistic vibe. This era is able to feel fresh and new every time I watch it. The show really feels like it knows what it's going for, and it's striving to be the best that it can possibly be. This led to some of the best episodes of the entire series, like The Injury or Phyllis's Wedding. These 2 seasons are how I remember The Office, and I am so glad that the network gave it a chance to really click. The silver era of The Office consists of Season 4, Episode 1 to Season 5, Episode 28. The silver era of The Office is amazing and has the same qualities as the golden era. This era is extremely similar to the golden era, but feels like the cast is just a little bit older and just a little bit off from their usual selves, which is to be expected. The cast is going to age over the course of 5 years and things obviously change, but it does feel a little strange given the episodic nature of The Office. The comedy in this show is the same as the golden era and feels almost identical. There are also so many standout episodes in this era, like Dinner Party and Stress Relief. This era is really good, and sadly, the last time that I think that The Office really feels like the show that it once was. The Bronze Era consists of Season 1, Episode 1 to Season 7, Episode 27. In my opinion, the Bronze Era is where the show starts to fall off. This era feels very weird. Something is just not right here, and I'm not entirely sure why. The show just feels stale and doesn't really do anything engaging. The entire Saber plotline is boring and doesn't really add anything good to the show. I still like this era, but it doesn't feel like The Office to me. This era is forgivable though, because it does bring a satisfying conclusion to Michael. I love that he gets to finish his character arc with Holly. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about the next era. The Dark Era consists of Season 8, Episode 1 to Season 9, Episode 26. There is no reason for this era to exist. I thought the last era didn't feel like The Office, but this feels like a completely different show. I really don't like most of the episodes from this era. It's just bad. The main problem with this era is finding a replacement for Michael Scott. He was the main character of the entire show, and without him, the show really suffers. Andy as the boss just doesn't really work at all. The Dark Era made so many bad decisions, like messing with Jim and Pam's relationship in a very stupid way, then introducing the Boom Mite guy as a character that Pam somehow knows out of nowhere. This leads to the worst episode of the entire series, Season 9, Episode 14, Vandalism. This era tarnished the reputation of The Office and would have ruined it if not for the ending episode of the show, the finale. This episode is really good and gives us a great send-off to all the characters from the show. This era was disappointing, but thankfully ended with a satisfying conclusion to the show. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of the eras of The Office. If you did, leaving a like on this video would be amazing. And if you want to see more future content from me, subscribing would be a huge help.